Championship game, another top 5 matchup tonight in Indianapolis. Penn State taking on the Oregon Ducks, 12-0 this year. They've won 13 straight. Most wins by a first-year Big Ten member. Oregon's won a dozen. Penn State, when it came into the league, won 10. And Amos Alonzo Stagg took Chicago in there to win double figures back in 1896. Pleased to be joined by the head coach of the Oregon Ducks, Dan Lanning now. Dan, people have talked about the significance of conference championships now that we have an expanded playoff. With Oregon being first year in the Big Ten, how would you describe the importance, the significance of trying to win this conference title?
Yeah, it's huge for us and our players, certainly huge for our fans. You know, you want the opportunity to compete in a conference like the Big Ten. You get excited about moments like this. So it's something we're really proud of, excited to compete in, and want an opportunity to go take advantage of it.
Well, Dan, you've had the opportunity now a couple times to have to travel back east to, play big games, Wisconsin being the last one. How's your team ready in terms of psychological travel, all that type of thing going into the Big Ten championship game?
Yeah, we spend a lot of time focusing on what we can control. So, that travel for us is a good opportunity to utilize that time in different ways. Some guys are getting some sleep. Some guys are studying a little bit more film. Some guys are probably watching a movie and getting out of the zone for a little bit because there's so much time and so much focus put on the game. But I feel like our team's in a good place. They've had a really good week of practice and certainly excited to compete.
Coach, I hope you're loving beautiful Indianapolis, Indiana. It is great to have you in the city. Your digital media team has been the best all year. We get 15-minute documentaries after every single game about your message for your team. One week, it's a gladiator mentality, thumbs down. Then the jump around week we got a chance to see. Inglorious Bastards against Washington, which also led to you bashing a helmet in at halftime. All those videos indicate that your team is all in all the time. How would you describe your team, your culture, and how they get along, Coach?
Yeah, I think buy-in's huge, especially in today's landscape of college football. And we have a bunch of guys pulling in the same direction. I think, those videos give a little bit of a glimpse of behind the scenes in our program. Certainly they help us in a recruiting or from a recruiting standpoint. But more than anything, it just shows the culture that we have with our guys and how focused they are on a common goal.
Coach, you guys have been #1 since the CFP rankings came out. Now everyone talk about 2 and everything below you. How challenging is it for you to keep your team motivated week in and week out, knowing you're still just the #1 seed and all the chaos up underneath you?
It hasn't been hard because our focus has been, really clear from the beginning. We don't really worry about the opinions of others. In fact, we call you guys the machine. Everything about what you guys talk about has nothing to do with the result on the field. So no offense, but we could care less what anybody else thinks. If you want to control results, go win.
No offense taken.
We're part of the machine here. We appreciate that. Hey, Dan, thoughts on Penn State? What would this game be decided by in your mind tonight?
Yeah, I think you've got 2 really great teams going against each other. I think explosive plays will make a big impact on this one. Obviously the takeaway battle, I've heard several people talk about it already this morning, but the reality is that's what football comes down to. And they have a challenging scheme on offense. They've got some premier players, some game-changer players that we have to do a good job of controlling, understanding where they're at. And then we got to take advantage of the moments we get, the opportunities we get.
Dan, I really appreciate you speaking up for coaches. I've gone to the dark side now. I'm on the media.
You're part of the machine.
I really appreciate you speaking up and saying that what we say doesn't really matter. So thank you.
Hey, you want to know a secret?
You bet, man.
Sometimes
I'll tell you this. I'm just excited to be on this reality show this morning. This is like the Saban Tree reality show this morning. I'm glad I get to be a part of it.
Dan, I'll tell you, and you too, Nick. Every now and then we think you guys are full of it too. Hey, we wish you luck tonight, man. Congratulations on a wonderful season. Good luck tonight against Penn State and going forward in the college football playoffs. The great Dan Lanning, friend of the show here. We'll see which one wins. Hey, Dylan Gabriel has been operating at a luxury ride level.
He really has, and people don't remember that. This is his 3rd team. Like, he started with UCF, then he went to Oklahoma. and now he found a home in Eugene with the Oregon Ducks, and he's just such a smooth quarterback. Let me show you what Penn State's defense is going to have to contend with tonight in the Big Ten championship game. Now, he doesn't run a lot, but listen, this is a zone read. Now, the end thinks he has help because the linebacker's going to come down, so he thinks he's protected on the outside. Gabriel reads the crash down of the defensive end. He keeps the ball. Now, there's a little alleyway. One-on-one with the safety. Yeah. He makes the safety miss, but now you have the corner who pretty much just gives up on the play. But Dylan doesn't run often, but when he does, he makes it count. What I love, guys, is the way he operates in the pocket. Pressure to the right. He's going to climb the pocket. He sees the spy coming at him, but he throws a corner route in between the nickel and the cornerback and dives the receiver in the hole. Perfect throw. Progression. Goes through his first read, second read, comes all the way to the backside, sees the safety, throws the ball with enough velocity on it that the safety cannot make a play. He's just a smooth customer back there. You know he's seen a lot. You're not gonna, you're not gonna get to him. You're not gonna fool him. And I think that's where their offense benefit the most because of his experience.
And you see, he's going to get some heat from Penn State today on defense. They've got a great pass rush as well, but there's also some pressure on the Penn State offense to keep up. And if the Nittany Lions are going to keep up with Dylan Gabriel and this offense, the entire plan has to center around their tight end, who's also played center and caught a touchdown pass from there, and he's played quarterback and he's played running back. In fact, Tyler Warren has lined up at 9 different positions this season, set a Big Ten record for catches by a tight end. He's got a third of the Nittany Lions receiving yardage, and this has been a bit of an issue for Oregon because they are second worst in the Big Ten in yards per catch allowed to tight ends. Now, if the Ducks want to remain perfect, they have to make sure that tight end doesn't get loose.
12 games, 12 wins for Dan Lanning.
They have size and speed and athleticism. And when you can have a combination of all those traits, then it makes for a very, very challenging opponent.
Ball is out. Oregon's got it. They're going the other way. Defensive score for Oregon.
I feel like our defense is really physical. We also create a lot of havoc plays, whether that's sacks, TFLs, fumbles, interceptions.
They're really good up front on the D-line. They're really good run stoppers. We've got to be on our A game, have that mentality of moving people off the ball.
Aller loads, fires, deep man there is Warren. Got it! Touchdown, Penn State.
I think Penn State's offense has so many dynamic weapons that the ability for them to be able to run the ball and create explosive plays off of shots presents a real challenge.
We've been in this league for a lot longer, so we got to really show who owns the Big Ten.
Explosive plays. This is the reason Penn State made a change at offensive coordinator from last year to this year, bringing in Andy Kotelnicki from Kansas, and it's paid off. Penn State was one of the worst-ranked teams in terms of explosive plays last year. Now they're in the top 20, and Oregon's done a really good job, Nick, at limiting those. It's going to be part of the key matchup in this game.
Yeah, well, I think, most people are going to look at this game like Penn State's physicality because that's how you kind of view Penn State, and Oregon's sort of speed. But I would beg to differ about Oregon. They have speed, and I think everybody recognizes that. But this team has played physical, especially on defense. Their defensive front has been good. So, Penn State's going to get challenged, and they're going to have to make plays. And Tyler Warren will be the most difficult matchup for Oregon because the tight end and the running back, by nature of where they line up, are always the most difficult guys to match up with on defense.
And I really don't know if they have those perimeter players for Penn State to really capitalize just one-on-one. I think Warren becomes big. I think Nick Singleton becomes really big. But we keep talking about Tyler Warren. It's for good reason. It's pretty obvious he's going to have to get his hands on the ball. When they played Ohio State, they weren't able to move him around, feature him. In this game, I think we're all seeing pretty much the same thing. This guy is a mismatch nightmare. Oregon will try to match him up. I mean, who do you put on him? A nickel? You put a linebacker? He's big enough that he can really go up and dominate in that area, and he's also fast enough. Play action. If the eyes are in the backfield, worry about the run game. Kotelnicki, the offensive coordinator, does a nice job at sneaking him into that second level. That Oregon all week, they got 44 lining up everywhere. Here he is in the trick play, which you'll see. This dialed up, throws it to Drew Aller, back to Tyler Warren, and now he's got a convoy down the sideline. Another unique way of utilizing him. This is probably the craziest thing that Reese talked about earlier. Try to figure out what the heck's going on here. I mean, try to figure out who's the eligible receiver. This is a unique formation. Throw the ball back. Now the guy who snapped the ball is running downfield,
and then what?
And they score a touchdown. So, you know, you'll try to utilize the trick plays. Yeah, Steve, I agree. Nice hands for a big man.
Yeah.
But I think that I'm showing a lot of Tyler Warren, but Tosh LaPoy and company, they're locked in on him. I think Singleton is a key in this football game if Penn State's going to win this.
Singleton and Allen, both juniors. I remember when they were freshmen. It feels like just yesterday. You know, I'm kind of aging myself through this entire thing. And Drew Aller obviously has the opportunity to take over the game. But when you look at this Oregon team, you think about Dan Lanning, and obviously he has a great defensive mind, Dylan Gabriel in the story. To your point, though, defense coordinator Tosh LaPoy, this man has got dogs across the board. They are a suffocating team. They are violent. Jordan Birch was out for a little bit. He is an absolute weapon. I think he had 6.5 sacks in about 6 games. This guy can get to the quarterback and he can disrupt. Obviously, scoop and score situations with the speed that you were talking about, playing in good rhythm together, this Oregon defense. Now, let's go to Bryce Botcher, linebacker. Number 28, sweet uniforms. Oregon's always going to look sweet. Fill the hole, take on a block, saw off a leg. They're physical. They have fundamentally sound technique, and then they're ready to hit you. Anybody can send it. This is a DB, Kobe Savage. Okay, you're going to get down there, right? Freight train coming through. That's a dump truck.
That's how they hit.
They are sending bodies everywhere. They are a physical bunch. And obviously, I think that's what Dan Lanning wants his team to be. But I think in 2024, that's how you have to play to win. And Oregon's built for it. That's why they've been the #1 team all season long.
No, I'm glad you showed Kobe Savage there. He transferred from Kansas State, so when you start talking about communication, he's faced Kotelnicki's offense before.
That's a good call.
So he's been able, he'll help them maybe get lined up and identify that.
To me, it's about Penn State's defense. You know, we were there in Happy Valley. They get a 10-0 lead against Ohio State, and they just couldn't. Ohio State comes right back down the field, 2 straight touchdown drives, changes the whole momentum of the game. You go back to when Ohio State defended Gabriel. They really used the quick passes. Ohio State couldn't bring pressure. Penn State's defense has to play well tonight.
Who you like, Steve?
I think Penn State keeps it close.
Keeps it close?
I'd take those 3.5.
Okay, I was going to say, there's not much of a spread there. That's almost like picking winner out.
Close game, 3.5's a lot.
Who wins the game, Steve?
Penn State.
Oh,
wow, really?